all, Scott here. Don't you just love reading the ESRB age rating descriptions on the back of each game? Everybody's Golf has mild language and suggestive themes, and Chibi Robo Ziplash has ha 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 ha. Oh wait, Nintendo, you're actually releasing this? But have you ever noticed any of the games that don't have descriptions? Well, if the ESRB didn't have anything to say about it, then what does it mean about this game's quality? Well, I'm gonna try and keep an open mind and try it out. What the f***? M&M's kart racing wasn't good? You're a parent in the Walmart video game section, and you have only one thing on your mind. I have $20 and I need a Wii game for my kid! There are a few tiers of video game releases. The AAA title, a game from a huge publisher with an equally huge budget. There are more mid-range releases from some medium to large-sized studios that are more budget-conscious or just aiming for a niche demographic. There's indie titles being made by small teams, and none of these tiers of video games mean anything about the game's overall quality, though. They're just basically categories to fit games into based around stuff like their budget. But there is one tier I haven't mentioned yet, one that is all about the game's quality, the developer's intentions, the budget, everything. Did somebody order terrible? Shovelware is the term used to describe a wealth of some of the worst video games ever conceived barfed onto a popular platform while also being Spellcheck's mortal enemy. When a video game console does exceedingly well, more and more games release for it. Now that sounds like a good thing, but what ends up happening most of the time is that many developers and publishers exploit the more casual side of the system's fan base, people who don't keep up on what the latest and greatest releases are. These studios whip together games that barely have any thought, time, or money put into them, spanking them onto store shelves, generally for around $20 or so, waiting for people who don't know any better to pick up the game because, oh, my little Jimmy has a Wii and he f***ing hates chickens. Shovelware preys on consumers who are attracted to the low price and general cover art. You mainly see some parents buy their kids this stuff because, hey, it's cheap, it looks like kids would enjoy this, and they really don't know what a high quality game is compared to Shovelware. Most parents don't know the difference between Gummy Bears Mini Golf and Metroid Prime 3. I don't expect them to, but that's how this stuff does so well to begin with. That's why so much garbage was thrown onto the PlayStation 2, the DS, the PlayStation 4, and most recently the Nintendo Switch. But easily the most well-known shovelware hangout spot was the Nintendo Wii. Having the audience of the console primarily be families, oh my god, shitty developers had a field day with this system. Whether they be generic games that appeal to people looking for another Wii Sports type game, budget licensed titles that preyed on fans of the source material, or just shit, the Wii had it all. You used to be able to walk into a Walmart, shove your hand into the video game's bargain bin, and pull out, oh well, my evening set. Chicken shoot! After manure, it's the first thing I think of when I hear the word shit. Weirdly enough, this was a part of the popular chicken murder genre on the platform. This is actually a port of a computer game, later turned Game Boy Advance title, so this ain't humanity's first chicken shoot rodeo. You shoot animated chickens, yes, how dare they, Nit? We have to kill them all! You keep shooting chickens until it's time for the next stage, which is a completely different part of the world, helping alleviate their chicken infestation. The Himalayas, yeah, big chicken problem down there. Oh, look at this is paradise. There isn't much to this one. The title doesn't lie, I'll definitely give the game that. You shoot chickens and that's all you do. Hold on, I forgot the egg mode! Chicken Shoot is one of the simplest games I've ever played. You shoot chickens and it goes on and on and on. I guess it's structurally sound, but who looked at this and said, yep, that's what we call a game worthy of coming out in 2007 physically on store shelves for a Nintendo platform. At least I can finally say I've played this game. To everybody who's like, Scott doesn't play my favorite games, well, f*** you, have you played Chicken Shoot? Now, Chicken Shoot is a game where I question what kind of audience they were really going for here. A Wonderworld Amusement Park? Yeah, it's pretty obvious with that one. After the booming success of Wii Sports, tons of developers tried to mimic that, creating minigame collections for the Wii that heavily used motion controls. A lot of them just made their own sports game collection, but some tried some more unique tactics. Carnival Games was a huge one. All the kids had to have this game. The commercials made it look like it was on par with the fun and quality of Wii Sports, but offered games you would find in a Carnival. That sounded like so much fun, a complete no-brainer for any family's Wii collection. It wasn't that good, but hey, at least it was better than Wonderworld Amusement Park. Courtesy of our friends at Majesco. They were one of the largest suppliers of mediocrity on the Wii. They could whip up some halfway decent games from time to time, but they'll never be good in my heart. This is a minigame collection, but you wouldn't know that while playing the games, considering that I'm pretty sure completing Breath of the Wild is quicker than the Crackshot minigame. These games just drag, like it takes forever to just walk up and see how many tickets these games require, and then they go on forever when you're actually playing them. Any form of fun you can muster from these games get blasted away after the first minute, but that's not to say any of these games are really that fun to begin with. There was some potential here, but it's wasted away. You have to grind a lot by replaying games to earn tickets to go to new themed areas in the park and play more games. But even then, the games in those areas are either reskins of other games or unclothing mummies. Hook a frog. Gladly. Now you can use your tickets to play new games or nab fun prizes. I get a spinning 3D model before I buy it and the same spinning 3D model after I buy it. Also looks like we can customize our character. perfect, but one of the most memorable things about this game is how the employees treat you like shit. Partner, you have 2 ways to leave this establishment, immediately or dead. Yep, that's a threat. He calls me a corn dodger. Any of them that talk, it's very likely they're gonna be incredibly rude. Like, you ever have a carny act like this to you? It's obvious Wonderworld Amusement Park is a soft ripoff of Wii Sports. It was following the motion-controlled minigame collection based off of real-world games genre that Wii Sports proved to be successful on the platform. But what about the full-blown Wii Sports ripoffs? Well, that's where Deca Sports, Game Party, Cruise Ship Vacation Games, and Big Beach Sports come in. 4 of the most overused surprise witnesses in court. Let's start off with Big Beach Sports, published by THQ. That definitely helped them out. They only let me input 3 initials for my custom character, but oh my god, I can draw my own face with the DS. I will hand it to him with this game. Connecting to the DS to fully draw your own character's face is pretty charming and cool, especially for 2008. And the product placement from Geico makes things that much better. Can't make a character without a hat though, but come on, everybody's gotta have a hat. So here we have 6 different sports to play, and a lot of the more complicated sports play like garbage here. You play with only one Wii remote, and they simplified football and soccer to just shaking the Wii remote and sometimes pressing A. Yeah, that ends up making the games feel like they're playing themselves most of the time. With something like baseball, that's easy to translate to the Wii, you just gotta swing the remote. Football and soccer just aren't as simple as that. There's a reason these weren't included with Wii Sports. Disc golf only has variants of the same beach area for its courses, even though they're all technically different. They're not. Cricket is just a slower, less gooder version of Wii Sports baseball. Volleyball just feels like I'm shaking the Wii remote to do everything and it doesn't work half the time. Bocce. Big Beach Sports isn't that great. Half of these just feel like worse variants on games in Wii Sports, and the other half just feel like I'm waggling the Wii remote with no skill involved. But hey, I do have the sudden urge to buy car insurance. Game Party was one of the most popular third-party titles on the Wii. I mean, I assume this cover art kind of fooled a lot of people into thinking this was made by Nintendo themselves. It kind of looks in line with something like Wii Play with the Wii remotes and all. And of course, it was only 20 bucks. But this game was always blasted by critics. I'd argue while it's not good, it doesn't do anything that terrible either. It's kinda exactly what you'd expect. It's a $20 party game. It has stuff like darts, trivia, air hockey, beer pong, hoop shot, you know, just typical family party game stuff. It's not good. I mean, the controls in hoop shot effing blow, and hey God, please explain the physics of the ball and skill ball. But for 20 bucks in 2007, darts, air hockey, and trivia are fine enough. You and some friends could definitely find some fun watching those games. At least Game Party includes games that aren't just worse repeats of games you'd find in Wii Sports or Wii Sports Resort. Here's Cruise Ship Vacation Games. This is a ripoff of Resort and not a good one. Did you know ping pong is also known as table tennis? Holy shit. The problem with all these Wii Sports ripoffs compared to the originals is that they all feel so much slower. They don't have the tight, fast-paced gameplay of the games they're ripping off. Minigames just go on forever. That's why I think Game Party was fine. The game lengths were on par with Wii Sports, but Cruise Ship Vacation Games and Big Beach Sports? Yeah, they just make you wish you were playing Wii Sports instead, which makes no sense because almost everybody who owned a Wii had that game bundled in with it, so why did all these developers just make worse versions of Wii Sports? Deca Sports was another game in this vein, but similar to Game Party, it's okay, it succeeds at what it wants to do. It's just an alternative additional game to that one everybody already owned. I like how quick you can get through the menus, and the games, well, nothing that great, are fine. They do the job, they control alright. This isn't anything I'll really ever want to come back to, but I don't think I'd consider this bad, just kind of average. These are 2 pieces of potential shovelware that I think were okay enough to be understandable additions to any casual player's Wii collection. But what about games that made no sense for any Wii owner to pick up? Brunswick Pro Bowling is definitely capable of being considered terrible. This was for all the pro bowlers who laughed in the face of Wii Sports. This isn't like real bowling, they don't have arms! Most Wii owners had debatably the best bowling game ever created bundled in with their console, so Brunswick tried to be a more realistic take on the sport. You can customize your bowler, you even have all possible options for different types of glasses. Aviator, jazz, or none. Now this game's main problem boils down to the controls. Bowling is so delayed, the bowler has to go through this whole animation after you do the whole bowling motion with the Wii remote. Just compare this to how bowling was meant to be. Fun was one of the last words I thought of when I was playing this game. I believe most people bought this because, oh man, bowling on the Wii is so fun, I just gotta have more of it. Holy shit, that was a mistake. The one thing I liked about this game was the shot of your character before you bowl. This is like a virtual fireplace. I always have this running on my TV. Now there were a ton of various licensed games I'd consider to be shovelware. Stuff like Project Runway. It tried to create a game based around a show all about creating the perfect fashion, which translates to a game where you just click the clothing they tell you to click. Oh, okay, I have to select this top. Well, there we go. It does give these fun quotes on loading screens though. These would fit right in on the death screens in the old Call of Duties. Minute to Win It, a game show where contestants have a minute to complete difficult, wacky, yet simple tasks with household items. Why make this a video game? Wasn't the entire point of the show being able to easily play all these games in real life at home? This game has some of the cheapest feeling animations and constantly repeating sound clips from Guy Fieri. Just look, they couldn't have been bothered to fully animate anything like the level increasing or losing a life. It's all like a slideshow. At least I can do this. I've always wanted to say yes to Guy Fieri. Movies weren't off limits either, especially Balls of Fury, available now on HD DVD. I remember the parody stupid comedy movie era. This fit right in alongside Scary Movie, Date Movie, Epic Movie. This was a fun way to experience the Balls of Fury movie trailer, and it even came with a free ping pong game. It's a little unsettling having these gross 3D model recreations of the actors, but besides that, this is just a lame ping pong game with finicky as hell controls. You can give your opponent some of this and that, and also play the game for 10 plus hours to unlock this trophy, but at the end of the day, this is a table tennis game with terrifying models, bad controls, and nothing else to do other than eject the disc and play M&M's Kart Racing, or M&M's Racing Team as the game likes to call it. This game has an interesting font choice. They squish a lot of the letters together, which makes some words not look right. Hey, it looks like Noose has the best lap time. Compared to a lot of the other garbage shovelware racing games on the Wii, this one doesn't control as bad, but our problem starts with the track design. In what dimension was this designed for go-karts? I keep crashing into everything because these tracks are so thin with corners so tight. This level would work for something like a platformer, not a racing game. At least I can finally fulfill my dream of driving as an M&M. Some tracks are more competently designed than others, as in, these are actually playable, but that does not excuse the handful that were obviously not tested at all, like the Chocolate Factory or the House. But hey, I did finish the tracks. I don't care what anybody says, I didn't like M&M's Kart Racing. I'm never gonna eat an M&M ever again. Ford Racing Off-Road might be a better game. I mean, come on, the Wii wheel isn't required. I'm surprised all Wii games didn't have this notice. I mean, this functions, but I just feel like a mom driving to soccer practice. Hey look, I'm the third piece of shit. Masculinity is a big deal for me, so I should really kill some fucking deer or something to keep it up. Yeah, deer have really been pissing me off lately, so Buck Fever will let me, you know, kill some. Hunting games are all over the place, but Buck Fever is the only one that has a funny title if you swap the first letters of Buck and Fever. We can only shoot bucks, of course shooting doe isn't allowed. This is Buck Fever after all. I just end up saying whatever and go effing wild shooting. Hey, look at this, I murdered. This was a pretty proud moment for me. I'm gonna make the sound of this deer falling my ringtone. Bigfoot Collision Course is another one that really screams anti-virgin, so let's give it a go. Jesus, humanity! Wii games probably can't get much worse than this. I don't have much to say here. I like the loading screen, and for the Bigfoot fans, this game definitely says Bigfoot in the title. But the graphics, sound, gameplay, frame rate, controls, UI, AI, replay value, the overall game, yeah, they could use some improvement. Other than that, it's okay. But the Wii was known as the party game machine, and if you have 30 great games on you, you know it's gonna be a good party. This is Family Party 30 Great Games. Now, I took a look at the Wii U launch title follow-up when I took a look at the worst games of all time according to Metacritic. Thankfully, this one missed the mark, so we should be good. Yes, Family Party. I'm gonna pick my favorite member of the family. This game stinks, so it's obviously a minigame collection, but my problem with it is that they make all the minigames last an eternity and overly complicated. There are pages of rules for each game, and when I beat a game in 15 seconds, the computer's timed out after a minute and a half. Then there was this one minigame where one person had to make it to the goal while everybody else was shooting junk at them to try and slow them down. In something like Mario Party, this would be just a simple 1 versus 3 minigame where one person had to walk across. Nah, here everybody gets to walk across. You just all take turns while 3 of the other players shoot. That makes this thing last forever. The Family Party series isn't my favorite, to put it bluntly, and now all I can do is just sit here and think to myself, man, just imagine party babies. Oh, Ubisoft used to be crazy into this Imagine series, a casual lineup of games focusing on specific things that kids might be interested in. Stuff like animal doctors or wedding designers. Who the hell wants to be a party baby when they grow up? This is a party game where you play as babies with full heads of hair. Comparing this to Family Party, this kinda has a similar problem where they have to explain rules via multiple pages for games this simple. I don't get this game, but at least it functions, which is something that the last handful of games we'll be taking a look at can't say as much. Data Design Interactive was one of the most notorious shovelwares out there. They specialized in making shit and fucking shit. The company primarily developed games for the PS2, PC, and the Wii, and they made sure to exploit the lack of quality control on all those platforms. Now, a lot of their games that came out on the PS2 and PC only did so in Europe, so the Wii was how us Ohioans primarily played Ninjabread Man. Yeah, everything smells quality so far. Yes, this is a Gingerbread Man-based 3D platformer. You jump by shaking the nunchuck. No. We shake the Wii remote to not hit enemies, and hit the B button to do this projectile thing. And that's the gameplay of Ninjabread Man, and yeah, you heard it here first, folks. This isn't a good video game. There are only 4 stages, the camera is garbage, this projectile attack is only used for specific specific enemies, and the entire game can be beaten without ever using it past the tutorial. The whole nunchuck jumping shtick really seals this game's fate, as it could have been better. But thankfully, you can just hit the Z button to jump. It's a hidden tactic only us Ninjabread Man players know of. The game only talks about shaking the nunchuck to jump. However, jumping with a button does far from enough to fix the controls. You move so fast, and the hit detection with enemies is abysmal, which makes this game way harder than it has any right being. But all you do is collect all the keys to open this portal, and my god, who knew bees hated gingerbread this much? When I finally got all the keys to go into the portal to move on to the next stage, it wasn't working, and I forgot to talk about the final mechanic in this game. You die by dying. Well, let's give another one of their games a try. Anubis II, or Anubis II. There was never an Anubis I game. This character is supposed to be the second incarnation of the Egyptian god Anubis, so I assume this title is supposed to be read as Anubis II, but I always personally call the game Anubis II, so Anubis II it is. Hey, it looks like data design reused the overall menu design. The profile icons are various degrees of standing here. This reminds me of like Persona or something. Yes, one of data design's key attributes as a developer was the constant reuse of everything. Ninjabread Man and Anubis II are the same, but with differing level design, and with Anubis being slightly more fleshed out. It had more levels and you can throw bombs or whatever. But almost everything in both games has been recycled or model swapped. If you've played Ninjabread Man, you've played Anubis II. Anubis is just as difficult and ridiculous with its controls and difficulty. I collected all the keys but one, so I guess I have to find it. Well, let's try another game. Rock and Roll Adventures is son of a bitch! This is another reskin of the same type of game, much more in line with Ninjabread Man as it has the same number of stages. But weirdly enough, I was able to beat this one in less than an hour. I saw this game's ending. It doesn't have one. There was another game like these, Mythmaker's Trixie in Toyland, literally the exact same game but with slightly different levels and a different theme. This was definitely a trend with data design. They would make multiple variants of what basically was the exact same game. They did platformers and racing games, Monster Truck Arenas being one of them.
Monster Trucks Extreme.
You got two of those words right. Yeah, racing monster trucks. These tracks never end. It takes forever to finish a race. Single laps take about the same amount of time as entire races in Mario Kart. Like, my god, my thumb aches from holding the acceleration button for so long. Replay the level? Who the hell would say, yeah, you know what, I should do that? Kawasaki Jet Ski is formatted in the exact same way. It's a racing game, but this time on jet skis. This one looks like it has the most content out of all the data design games so far. I mean, it has a balloon mode, Anubis II can't say that. But thankfully, the races aren't as long as Monster Trucks. It's still not good. I mean, look at this. Do you think this looks fun? Both these games have horrible frame rates and absolutely no fun factor. They're terrible. I don't have Action Girls Racing, which is probably the most notorious data design racing game. These guys justifiably went out of business in 2012. But I find their games to be absolutely fascinating. Next time you say a video game feels soulless or like a cash grab, think about data design. I can't really think of more deserving games to be considered the worst of all time. I don't really think I'd consider them my personal least favorites. I mean, I had no expectations for them. But I think in general, they have to be some of the worst things ever conceived. Now, some of the games I looked at here, I'd consider simply mediocre. Most of the games, I'd consider shovelware. Now, would I consider the data design game shovelware? No, I'd consider them